All right, let's turn our focus now to our neighbour, Eswatini. It's a really worrying picture. The government there has shut down the internet. At least 8 people reportedly killed by the army in house-to-house raids in Manzini. This follows pro-democracy protests over recent days. Eswatini, of course, ruled by King Mswati III, who also appoints the Prime Minister. The king has been criticised for being autocratic and harsh. Now, international charity group Human Rights Watch is joining us now. Dewa Mavhinga from the Southern Africa Director of Human Rights Watch. Dewa, thank you so much for your time. You know, it's been so difficult to get information out about what's going on in Eswatini because there's an internet blackout. What is the information that you're getting it, and how are you getting it?
Well, yes, Human Rights Watch has a number of contacts with activists, protesters, and ordinary people in Eswatini. But yes, it has been very difficult to get information out because of the disruptions to internet and social media. But we have been able to, from time to time, get messages, voice calls, and sometimes WhatsApp messages via VPN from contacts inside Eswatini who say that, it has been a carnage, and the security forces, are hunting down, door to door, indiscriminately beating up people, and that at the height of the protests over the last 2 days, there was also indiscriminate shooting at protesters, which has resulted in at least 8 people killed around Manzini, Matsapa, and Bavani, and also some of the activists who were fleeing from Eswatini. We have reports that some protesters were shot and killed in the morning towards the Oshuk Ngwenya border post. So it's quite concerning what we have been hearing. It has not been possible to verify all the details because of lack of access, but it is deeply disturbing. Yeah,
it certainly is. Have you got any updates on what the situation is like today?
Yes, in the last hour I've been speaking to a few contacts, and it is tense. Locally, there is a media blackout, so the local radio, TV stations are not announcing or saying anything about the protests. The operation by the security forces is ongoing. You will be aware, Sally, that there is a curfew that was declared yesterday from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. So that is happening. But also a huge challenge, an unfolding humanitarian crisis is access to food, because now there are fewer supermarkets that are open, and for most of the day today, there were huge crowds, queues of people jostling to get into the shops that are open to try and get food and basic groceries. And also, a challenge in terms of access to fuel, because many people who have got their own cars, private cars, have been refueling and seeking to leave Eswatini, and fuel tankers had stopped getting into Eswatini because of the violent protests which had targeted fuel tankers at some point, and also some roads had been blocked. So it's chaos, and for people's ordinary lives, they have been hugely disrupted. And of course, the continued internet blackout is affecting people's lives hugely.
What is your understanding of why this crackdown has been, by all accounts, so incredibly harsh?
Well, one thing that is clear is that this latest wave of protests, especially led by hundreds of students since last week, had escalated to a point that had not been seen previously. So there was a sense that it could actually lead to the toppling of the government. In fact, on Monday night, there was a rumor spreading that the king and his family had fled the country. Some were saying to South Africa, others were saying to Dubai, and that rumor had also become a galvanizing point in terms of the people, the protesters, becoming more emboldened to present their demands and to say that the entire government must be removed and there should be reforms. So perhaps this is why the government has had this harsh response, excessive use of force, violence, the deployment of the security forces, because of a fear that indeed the protesters were taking over in Eswatini.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time this evening. Really a very worrying situation. That was Dewa Mavhinga, Southern African Director of Human Rights Watch, telling us the information he is getting about what is going on in Eswatini at the moment.